We should start back, Garrett urged as the woods began to grow dark around them. The wildlings are dead. Do the dead frighten you? Sir Waymar Royce asked with just a hint of a smile. Garrett, did you not rise to the bait? He was an old man, past 50, and he had seen the lordlings come and go. Dead is dead, he said. We have no business with the dead. Are they dead? Royce asked softly. What proof have we? Will saw them, Garrett said. If he says they are dead, that's proof enough for me. Will had known they would drag him into the squirrel sooner or later. He wished it had been rather later than sooner. My mother told me that dead men sing no songs, he put in. My wet nurse said the same thing. Will, Royce replied. Never believe anything you hear from a woman. There are things to be learned even from the dead. His voice echoed too loud in the winter forests. We have a long ride before us, Garrett pointed out. 8 days, maybe 9, and night is falling. Sir Waymar Royce glanced at the sky with disinterest. It does that every day, about this time. Are you unmanned by the dark, Garrett? Will could see the tightness around Garrett's mouth, the barely suppressed anger in his eyes, under the thick black hood of his cloak. Garrett had spent 40 years in the Night's Watch, men and boy, and he was not accustomed to being made light of. Yet it was more than that. Under the wounded pride, Will could sense something else in the older man. You can taste it. It's a nervous tension that came perilous close to fear. Will shared his unease. He had been 4 years on the wall. The first time he'd been sent beyond, all the old stories had come rushing back, and his bowels had turned to water. He had laughed about it afterwards. He was a veteran of 100 ranging by now, and the endless dark wilderness that the South Run called the Hunted Forest with no more terror for him. He studied the deepening twilight in that half-bored, half-distracted way he had. Will had ridden with the night long enough to understand that it was best not to interrupt him when he looked like that. Tell me again what you saw, Will. All the details, leave nothing out. Will had been a hunter before he joined the Night's Watch. While a poacher in the truth, Alistair Freerider had caught him red-handed in the Mouse's own woods. Skinning one of the Mouse's own bucks, and it had been a choice of putting on the black or losing a hand. No one could move through the woods as silent as Will, and it had not taken the Black brothers long to discover his talent. The camp is 2 miles further on, over the ridge, hard beside a stream, Will said. I got close as I dared. There's 8 of them, men and women both. No children I could see. They put up a lean-to against the rocks. The snow's pretty well covered it now, but I could still make it out. No fire burning, but the fire pit was still plain as day. No one moving. I watched a long time. No living man ever laid so. still. Did you see any blood? Well, no, Will admitted. Did you see any weapons? Some swords, a few bows. One man had an axe, heavy looking, double bladed, a cruel piece of iron. It was on the ground beside him, right by his hand. Did you make note of the position of the bodies? Will shrugged. A couple are sitting up against the rock, most of them on the ground, fallen like. Are sleeping, Roy suggested. Fallen, Will insisted. There's no woman up in ironwood, half hide in branches. Far eyes, he smiled thinly. I took care she never saw me. When I got closer, I saw she wasn't moving either. Despite himself, he shivered. You have a chill, Royce asked. Some, Will muttered. The wind, my lord. The young knight turned back to his grizzled man at arm. Frost-fallen leaves whispered past them, and Royce, disturbed, moved restlessly. What do you think might have killed these men, Garrett? Sir Mayor actually casually. He adjusted the drapes of his long, stable cloak. It was the cold, Garrett said, with iron certainly. I saw men freeze last winter, and one before, when I was half a boy. Everyone talked about snow 40 feet deep, and how ice winds come howling out of the north. But the real enemy is the cold. It steals up on you quicker than will. And at first you shiver and your teeth shatter, and you stamp your feet and dream of mulled wine and nice hot fires. It burns, it does. Nothing burns like the cold, but only for a while. Then it gets inside you and starts filling you up. And after a while, you don't have the strength to fight it. It's easier just to sit down or go to sleep. They said you don't feel any pain towards the end. First you go weak and drowsy and everything starts to fade. And then it's like sinking into a ship of warm milk, peaceful like. Such eloquence, Garrett. Certainly, Wanda. I never suspected you had it in you. I've had the cold in me too, Lordling. Garrett pulled back his hood, giving Sterling a good look at the stamps where his ears had been. 2 ears, 3 toes, and the little finger off my left hand. I got off light. We found my brother's frozen at his watch with a smile on his face. So Wayland shrugged. You ought to dress more warmly, Garrett. Garrett glared at the lordlings, the scar around his ear holes, flushed red with anger where Master Amon had cut the ears away. We'll see how warm you can dress when winter comes. He pulled up his hood and hunched over Garrett.